Alright, let's start here. We're here with High Perfect Morcant. Or Morcant, I don't know. 4 mana 4/4. Black green. Whenever High Perfect Morcant or another elf enters, each opponent blights one. Blighting is your opponent chooses to put a -1/-1 creature on a, or a -1/-1 counter on a creature they control, but you know, that's kind of okay. And then at the bottom one is you can tap 3 untapped elves and proliferate. So you can blight, and then you can spread the blight and make it worse by tapping your elves. Blighting is just really bad, in my opinion. I think that's just an awful mechanic. It's not doing much to negatively impact a lot of what's going on in Historic Brawl. Yes, it kills mana dorks, but it doesn't kill them in time. Also, if your opponent has something like a Boreal Grazer, you just have to spend 600 years killing this 0/3. That just was better than most of what you did already anyways, because it was a second land on turn 1. So stuff like that totally hoses you, completely hoses you. So I don't picture that being too exciting, but I do have stuff that puts poison counters on my opponent. And poison counters proliferating seems cool with this. So you see that in mostly blue and black, but it's cool to have it in the best color, which is green. So you have all the, well, I'm running what I think are just the best toxic creatures. There's really not many at all, but there's like this one and that one. And then you have Vraska's Fall and Inquiry, which just puts a poison counter on. When I played, the one time I played against this, my opponent just happened to have this card to start the thing instantly, and then they happened to have Evolution Sage with a ton of lands. I still beat it, but I don't envision that ever happening consistently, because you only have one of those cards. So, we shall see. We shall see. I think the One Ring Paradox Engine with this many mana tapping things is just a okay idea. I can run a bunch of tutors, especially if I really need to put poison on my opponent. Tutors make sense, and then you can have Paradox Engine, One Ring, with a bunch of mana tapping things to just do that thing as well. But yeah, the Blight mechanic, I'm going to assume, is going to not really do much at all. I could be wrong, but I'm just not expecting it to matter. But we'll see. I've gone over the in great length about what interaction means to a green deck in this format. Not to say it's a bad idea. I don't like this. This can maybe do something? Wish I had a third land, though. Oh, look at that. Expiration turn 1. Little did my opponent know I actually didn't have another land. Oh, don't you love it? Isn't it great? Isn't that just fantastic? This is slow. I'm on the draw, too. I'm just doing nothing for 3 turns here. I just can't really do that. This is faster. What is that? Oh, Frontier Bivouac. Wow, that's cool. Oh, sure, I guess. Not really upset with that. No, I mean, it slows me down. I would be hard-pressed to get rid of that. I don't think I'm casting my commander here. Okay. I feel like this tempo doesn't pan out too well. Oh, it kind of does, because they can kill whatever I play now. Alright, well, must be nice to just have everything. Whatever I do just dies. Alright, so we'll just play these two. I don't have a choice. I can still play my commander. Okay, they didn't go for their commander, which would have killed my Llanowar Elves. It probably doesn't matter, but that is what they did. So, commander, blight, and then do nothing? Jeez. I guess I proliferate? I guess? I don't know. Can't kill it. What does this actually do? They did not kill Llanowar Elves. I'm rather confused. Rather confused. But I'll take it. So... you... They do blight their commander. Bit surprised at that, actually. I'm not sure why my opponent wants to lose their commander, but I'm sure there's a reason. We'll just find out real quick. Doesn't seem worth it to me. But maybe it is. Opponent slings with a 3-2. Yeah, I'm not looking up. Okay, so you... They really just want to continuously kill their commander. It seems just nutty. I don't need more mana. Yeah, they just want to keep killing their commander, I guess. Okay. Well. Alright, yeah, I just hosed their board. They didn't kill Llanowar Elves, which I suppose in the long run didn't actually matter. And yeah, this seemed like actual elementals, which is cool. Probably because the new set actually came with elementals. So, they're doing that. That's kind of cool. Does this actually work? Wow, did I actually just kill Azula? Azula? Oh my goodness. That's insane. Okay, well. Get me it. That's insane. I guess, yeah, we, oh, jeez. Alright, well, Nissa? I think it's Nissa. No, let's play the mythic rare one that wins and you play lands, I guess. I don't have anything to do with all that mana, though. Wait, what? Creatures you control can't have counters put on them. Protection from green. Blight Beetle. That is the most insane random thing ever. I'm not sure what the idea. But it sure is played against me here. Playing the Kami is now... has been a depressing endeavor. I can't pick it up. Whenever one or more counters placed on a creature... Alright, yeah. I guess it makes sense. It's just so weird. It is so weird. So, return an elf, untap a creature. Return an elf, untap a creature. That doesn't do anything. Does not do anything. Okay. Okay, let's start with this here. Elf. Let's play you. Okay, they draw off my commander. Alright, well. Oh, I did it backwards. I'm an idiot. I did it backwards. Of course I did, though. Of course I did. Fortunately, it didn't die, so... kind of worked out. Thank goodness it didn't die. That would have been really dumb. It can still die. Alright, still dies. Alright, so yeah, my decision was impressively moronic there. Leave it to me, though. Let's play you. Green. Play you. Play land. Play. It doesn't. Five. All right. Karn's Bastion. It's I mean it works. You know. I think I can cast Craterhoof next turn, actually. It's a bit nuts. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I can cast it. We'll see what my opponent has. Maybe I didn't blow this game out. It's funny, I did it right the first time with the Wirewood, and then the second time I didn't. That's funny. Sure. So, green, colorless, that, this thing. Yeah, I just win here. A single removal spell doesn't save him. My opponent didn't even wait to see if I had it. I mean, it could have just been Gristlebrand or something. I don't have a 1 or 2, I just can't play the game. I have a 1 and a 2. I'm not going to flare. I'd rather not get a swamp. I think I just have to, though. I mean, it is what it is. Actually, you know what? I could just cast Flare. Alright, that makes life easy. Do I risk casting Nissa? Why not? Why not? My opponent's going on their turn 2. I don't like... I just don't put myself in a spot where I lose when it dies. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have cast it. Oh, please kill the halfling. Please? Okay, they could only kill the halfling. Oh, there's only one spell to take, though. That's unfortunate. I could cast my commander. Oh, yeah, I mean, I guess, right? I should just grab a swamp here. Yeah, we'll cast our commander. Why not? I feel like if my opponent has to spend 2 turns in a row killing things, that's fine. Especially killing something that isn't actually doing anything currently. I think that's reasonable. Taking all of these are effectively identical. They took the proliferate when you play a land one, which of the ones in my hand, I only have 1 land, you know. It doesn't... it's also not proliferating anything. Like, I'm just always taking this, is my point. Okay, well, I'm going to play my cards, even though I can't blight. I should probably put a... I should probably develop treasure here. Because I don't have... Okay, well, that's pretty good, I guess. Alright, we have, like, mid-range random stats in play. Against Grixis, whatever this is. Fleeb? Fleeb? No, it's Fleem? Fleem. They did not kill my commander, so an elf kills their commander. I'm sure they're, like, cognizant of that. We'll see what their solution is. Okay, this... I guess it does something, right? Yeah, okay. Does my opponent have a land? No. Tragic. Well, I'm gonna do the thing, so... Gonna wipe out the commander again. Which might not really be a big deal to my opponent, to be fair. Alright, we have mid-range damage bleeding in. Okay, do we draw a big spell? We have not seen a spell that costs more than 2, so they would have to have basically drawn one right away. Oh, it doesn't have to be a spell. It doesn't have to be a spell. So, this thing beholds this thing. Giant funny 6/6. Which is actually kind of scary. I mean, they're hellbent, right? It is a 6/6. The talisman probably won't like to tap for colored mana. I really wish I could play this at the same time, but, you know, can't have everything. This is a 3/3 on the backside? Alright, yeah, so they have to have... kind of need to draw... I mean, they do have another draw. I don't have a fast way of dealing with Azula. Who knows, maybe I don't need it. Yep, of course. Of course I draw literally nothing. It's castable. Well, I didn't play a blue land, so I guess I'll dodge whatever it is my opponent was going to do. But I can't kill their commander, so... Oh, look, a blue land. How much you want to bet there's just a counterspell and everything I try is irrelevant? I don't lose the game if it doesn't work. Yeah, let's actually play this. Maybe they ignore it because it's, like, too ridiculous. Maybe they ignore it. Brazenbauer does not block this card. Well, I mean, it does, but, like, in a weird way. They target it themselves. Huh. They eat my delighted halfling. It's a bit random. Okay. Do I cast my commander? I mean, it's not doing anything. I don't think I do. Let's just cast this. Grab the... I mean, we'll just grab the win condition. I'm just going to show my opponent that this exists and you have to deal with it. Yep. It's muted. Alright, so I've actually beaten Azula twice. A matchup I don't think is particularly good. It was a mulligan to 5. It's actually above average 5, I guess. Above average. Vraska's End is a creature, right? I imagine I had that card last game. Wouldn't that be cool? Alright, I'm gonna cast this. I do have Nykthos. Sage doesn't really do much against my opponent's deck, but it is a creature and I've got Nykthos Craterhoof. Ooh, there's something there. It's not like they're interacting with me. They probably will never interact with me. It's a pretty smooth brain strategy that doesn't care what you're doing. So, let's play this. Wait, can I? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. No, I can't. Can't even play it. Choose equipment. Okay. This actually plays around this. Okay, now it doesn't. I need them to tap their mana. Okay, that was very significant. We did it. If they left up mana, I can't kill them because of the Guardian Idol. I guess I cast Flare. Okay. Or they could just completely keep up with Exploration. Yep. Just completely keeping up with Exploration. Okay. I don't think turning everything into a forest wins the game for the opponent. I will probably sack the Yavimaya. I don't need it, and I don't want my opponent to have even more ideal mana, so... Doesn't look like it matters that much anyways. Yep, this is the problem with having a bunch of mana and there's no top end like Real Fellows has. We're just laughing at ourselves doing nothing. I don't even have another elf. Do I play this land? I don't think I do. For the same reason. Like, it's just a hilariously embarrassing situation where your deck doesn't just win with exploration. There's something wrong. My opponent has mana, and they're doing stuff with it, and we're doing nothing. And they can completely ignore this, because green doesn't even care about this anyways. Does that do anything? I mean, I guess. Not really, but whatever. I'm just gonna play it at this point. Alright, I'm wasting my time. Yeah, literally just totally embarrassed that by my own exploration there. This is a game that your green deck should always win, or at least have a fighting chance, and I just didn't. All right, I'm over it. I can't handle this deck anymore. This is awful. Elves are cool. It's particularly nice when your elf commander does something that draws a lot faster than this. This doesn't really draw cards. Like, you need other cards just randomly skewered in your deck. You gotta find them to win. Or, excuse me, find them to start to actually draw. Because once you run out of a hand, you're no longer doing anything at all. You're doing nothing. We have really good elves. We have really fast mana, but I wasn't doing anything once my hand was empty. Also, Blight in over half the games didn't do anything. There were games where it actually did, which is cool. I was surprised Blight actually came up a few times. The new commanders, the anti-goblin one, actually wants you to put counters on their creatures, so they drew like 25 cards, but I still beat that, oddly enough. But other decks that don't at all care about blighting their creatures, you basically don't have a commander. Period. Like, you have a 4/4 commander, it doesn't even buff your elves. It's just a 4/4. It's an elf, but that's it. This doesn't do anything. This is too slow for Historic Brawl. Maybe it's interesting in Standard. I don't know if we have enough elves in Standard, though. I don't think we do. But I did take out the One Ring Paradox Engine thing. I would probably start to run tutors, maybe almost instead of just like card draw engines, but that seems weird as well. The trying to attempt in any to any capacity, trying to put a poison counter on my opponent so I have something that is actually worth doing with Proliferate, never came up. There's not enough of these cards to consistently get to them. Again, talking about tutors always finding the same thing over and over. But still, you're just not fast enough to, even if you have this and you cast it on turn 2 with a mana dork, you're still not fast enough to then play a bunch of elves and proliferate enough to kill your opponent with it. Kind of like the Ajani. This is like that, was it the green-white Ajani? Yeah, the green-white Ajani that gets the emblem that, you know, gives you 2 poison counters. We just played it the other day. It's like that. Except you don't have it every game. In fact, you don't have it most games unless you play exceptionally bad toxic cards, because these are really the only good poison ones. I had Finn. I took out one of the... Yeah, I took out the flying 1/1 toxic creature, but there's the Death Touch one. I still had Contaminator. The Blightwing Whelp, which never made contact. And Tyrannus Rex, which I guess is kind of interesting, I don't know. But this wasn't enough. So these could just be tutors. Like, the poison counter thing just doesn't get there in time. Especially if you also need some kind of card draw engine, even if you do have a way to put a poison counter somewhere. Because you're gonna run out of elves anyways, even if you do start poison countering, and you're drawing like 1 card a turn, that's not good enough. That's not good enough, right? When we see elf commanders, you see this thing. I don't really consider Rofellos an elf commander. You do see it in elf decks, though, as an elf commander. It's just not as good as a just cast Ulamog on turn 3, or turn 4, or whatever. But with this, there's spells that, like, untap it, and it grows crazy really fast, and then you just need some kind of thing to convert into a bunch of cards, and sometimes you don't even need that, because you explode with mana so quickly. So I've seen this as a commander. Rofellos actually kind of does the same thing that this does. It just cares about your forests instead of your creatures, which it also costs 2, which, again, just makes Rofellos better than this in every conceivable way, even as an elf commander. But, yeah, so, like, these two are a lot better than this when you're doing anything that really cares about elves. I think the new fairy elf commander is also in that department. That's it. That's another thing. The new Sultai elf fairy commander also can just steal your elves, because you're an elf deck. So they steal your cards, and then they can play them, and then that steals more of your cards. So when they're up against a fairy or elf opponent, they just go absolutely nuts. And we're an elf deck. So there's 2 commanders, that one and the Auntie, the black-red blight thing, that you are exceptionally terrible against, and they happen to be in the same set as this. It's just kind of funny that it lines up like that. But apart from that, you still have, I took out Entomb Reanimate because I didn't want this deck to just focus on that thing all the time. I kind of want to showcase a new commander doing things, but when you take out the staples that are just good in that color and should be basically in every deck that is that color, you're at a colossal disadvantage. So I think all of these, actually, yeah, I'm going to work on this right now, because as it stands, I could not feasibly ever recommend anyone play this. So I would take out all of this. Poison counter toxic thing was so unrealistic. So unrealistic. Oh, wait, was there another one? No, yeah, it was extremely unrealistic. Probably running tutors. I guess you could run more. I don't really like spot removal because it just makes your blight feel even less useful, because you're just now killing things with spells instead of your elves trying to kill things when your commander's in play, right? That's kind of like the whole point, and running removal just sort of offsets whatever you thought you were going to do. But I mean, sometimes you just need instant speed removal, and this doesn't do that at all. Really unfortunate. But yeah, so spot removal, tutors, Paradox Engine, One Ring, Entomb Reanimate. I did have Dark Ritual, which here doesn't feel too great. Triple Black is not the most exciting, but it's still Dark Ritual. It's hard to say it isn't good or whatever. Dark Ritual is just fine, even in a mono green deck, I would argue. I had maybe 2 games, actually, but I know there was one notable game where turn 1 Exploration, and I played like 500 lands, and I still completely lost. Should really never happen to you. That just shouldn't happen. That means there's a fundamental issue with your deck when you play turn 1 Exploration and play 55 lands by turn 5, and you still just you lose to almost anything anyways, because you just didn't do anything. You played a bunch of lands, and you played 4 elves, and then you died, right? That doesn't... you could play the 4 best elves in the deck and still die with a turn 1 Exploration that lets you do all of that twice as fast as you otherwise should have been able to. You still just die. That's an abysmal scenario for your deck to ever be in. And that means, honestly, that kind of just means either Exploration itself is not right here, or the entire deck is just fundamentally not right. And I would say the latter is more accurate. So, of the 7 slots I just opened up, let's say we run a bunch of tutors. You have to pivot into... Okay, so the main thing, what I really should be trying to convey, is you cannot win with this text box. Your commander's text box doesn't win the game. In fact, it doesn't do anything against any deck that doesn't have creatures in it, right? If you're against a deck that maybe the only creature in their deck is their commander, it doesn't really do anything. To be fair, I did kill Azula with this. To be fair, right? I killed it rather unbelievably, but I did with enough blight, and that would be an exact example I'm talking about. But there's most of the time that is not the case, right? Most of the time that's not the case. In fact, I would argue if my Azula player just kept playing the game and went for it later again, if they had a way to deal with the board, I wasn't going to do it again to Azula, and then I would probably lose later on. So the people would just need patience, and they would probably still win through me killing their commander. Honestly, they could probably win twice if I killed it twice with blighting to Azula specifically, assuming they can just kill my creatures and then I run out of gas. If I have a card draw engine, they don't stop. Then I don't run out of gas. They might just not be able to do anything. But that would mean I need one of these kinds of cards that this effect's not stapled onto my commander and I can't tutor for this effect. So, yeah, I guess stuff like Green Sun Zenith, Chord of Calling, even. Oh, you have to, right. It's an X spell. Like Green Sun Zenith, Chord of Calling, all of those kinds of things. Some other stuff. Like, think about the Val matchup where they play Val and then they find Moondancer and win with the combo. You don't do anything against that at all. There's no sense of... Instant speed interaction actually isn't that good against that deck anyways, but like this kind of deck is just way too fair. You're just too fair. People are not doing fair things in Historic Brawl. So you have to just play the combo things that don't care about your commander, like Paradox Engine, One Ring, Entomb Reanimate, maybe Gristlebrand? I don't even know what the... If you do Entomb Reanimate, I suppose you could put in the giant Tyrannosaurus Rex again. You know, you could just slide that in. I like this card. It's unfortunate it doesn't really work out too well 99% of the time, but I like it. But yeah, like Entomb just has to be a thing. Reanimate. Maybe even Persist. Paradox Engine. The One Ring. I mean, you could put Persist back in. Actually, maybe Grim Tutor and then some other kind of tutor. I think those are fine. They're double black, so you can maybe work on the lands a bit. Maybe just a little bit there. Not too crazy. It does... What else is the thing? I didn't have Scute Swarm. Tyler's Provisioner. And I think, was it Nissa? Yeah, Nissa. Oh, actually, you know, it really falls on all cards that are sort of doing something similar to those two I just pulled out. But when you... Yeah, it's the same... Actually, it's kind of just the same argument as Exploration. When you're playing 3 times as much mana as you should be per turn, and you're not winning, you just have to change that somehow. You need to have something to do with all that mana, and unfortunately the thing we're trying to do doesn't win the game, which is, let's say, play 5 elves in one turn in Blight 5, and then tap 3 to proliferate and all that jazz. There was a play versus draw matchup with Rofellos. If I was on the play, I might have actually won, but I wasn't, so I lost. And that was mainly because, well, other than simply being on the draw, they had Topiary Stomper, which is a 4/4 they don't care about, and then they have this creature that's sitting there, just like a Boreal Grazer, is just going to sit there and soak the entire Blight spam. There's a 4/4 that's going to sit there and just gobble up all 4 Blight triggers that I might get in a turn. Blight 4 would imply I've cast a lot of elves, right? And then I have to tap the elves to proliferate. So let's say I cast 2 or something, and then I tap 3 elves to proliferate. That's only 3 -1/-1 counters, and I would have to do something else to kill a 4/4 like Topiary Stomper, and then I would need to Blight again to kill this with 1 toughness. So these random creatures that could be sprinkled into play make this even worse. Especially when your opponent really does not care at all about the creature you've blighted, like a Boreal Grazer. And a Boreal Grazer is everywhere. I mean, even Kami. You blight a single time, and then you try to proliferate from there, because you could, let's say, only blight a single time. They just put it here, and then now you have a bunch of proliferate that maybe you wanted to kill like a 5/5 or something. Now you can't, because there's no -1/-1 counter on anything, because this happened. So I guess you could play... maybe you don't ever want to do this, but you could think about Black Sun Zenith and Zenith your own creatures, and then proliferate the 1/1 counters you've distributed across your opponent's entire board. But you've shrunk yourself in the process. You tapped all your stuff to kill your opponent's creatures and maybe keep yours alive. And now you have a slightly smaller board and your opponent doesn't have any creatures. Maybe you can convert a win through all that in some way. I don't know what that looks like, but I suppose it's possible. But yeah, the best win conditions, and really, honestly, the only primary win conditions, are going to be things like Paradox Engine One Ring or finding Craterhoof with... what is it? Where are you? Fierce Empath, I guess now actually a tutor. Green Sun? Yeah, I did put that one in there, right? So, like this kind of worldly tutor, I guess, can find it. So, like, these are the win conditions. Actually, if you have a fast enough Entomb Reanimate, that's always a win condition. I suppose Tyrannosaurus might not be the go-to thing to Entomb Reanimate, so I guess Gristlebrand should show up, or at the very least summon Bahamut, but probably Gristlebrand. I did say we really want to draw a lot of cards because we're just running out of things to do, so I think you want Gristlebrand. This didn't trigger a single time. And this is also a bit slow. If you get bored, if you're hit by a board sweeper or something, finding one thing at a time isn't that efficient at rebuilding. So this is a bit slow, and this is definitely not a grindy back and forth the Rock style deck. So this might just be too slow. Same logic applies to, say, Phyrexian Arena. Kind of want your card draw to go crazy like an engine, like Beast Whisperer or Guardian Project or Great Henge or something. So yeah, I don't think this might be too slow. In Terminus, I mean, it's a mana rock, which is cool, but it could be Virtue of Persistence, which is a removal spell, and I think that might just fit better. And you still have that 7 mana reanimate once per turn thing going on. So maybe Virtue Persistence is a little bit better. I definitely don't need the mana this provides, because my whole deck is mana-producing spells. So maybe this is unnecessary. Virtue might just be better. But... I mean, you could run both, but this is the kind of deck that could... I mean, again, this is this very slow, grindy value engine that happens to be Mana Rock. So this is not that amazing, in my opinion. We're just not that kind of deck. This isn't Redless Jund. It's not the one-for-one grindy Maelstrom pulls the rock strategy. The format really doesn't even care, actually, about those grindy black-green decks that I oh so love. But this is not one of them. But yeah, so I'd say this is better, but this is just way less to do with my actual commander. I mean, all the things I just added don't have much at all to do with this, but they allow you to actually win the game. And that's what you need to do, or ideally that's what you would like to do, I assume. Unless you just have a quest that plays elves, which the winter thing ended. But yeah, even with all of this, the things I just added, you could go into any black-green X commander, except, Craterhoof may be a bit more situational. That obviously not, but... So you could just play, I don't know, any other kind of deck that doesn't demand you play elves that sometimes blight. Just do something else, and all of these grindy things could come in, and yeah, this just doesn't really work. The format does not care about this, whatever this is trying to do. It just doesn't care. You're gonna win sometimes, even just beating them to death with a 4/4. You're gonna win the game sometimes doing that, but the text box just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It really doesn't. I would be surprised if this mattered in Standard. I don't think it really... It's probably worse in Standard, right? I mean, you're dealing with stuff like Ketramos, which couldn't care about Blight if it tried to care about Blight. It just doesn't care about Blight. This is probably even worse in Standard, just going off of my surface level thinking about it right now. I think this is probably even worse in Standard. So, definitely one of those multiplayer commander things. It does say each opponent, and blighting multiple people makes it a lot more appealing, especially when you're bound to have one person doing something with creatures in a multiplayer game, and then you can blight spam one person. So if EDH becomes a thing on a digital platform like Magic Arena, and I have access to it without you needing 5 million mythic wildcards, this would be more interesting to play. But 1v1 doesn't do anything. It's just a 4-mana 4/4. For the average game, it's a 4-mana 4/4. Sometimes it's cool. Sometimes you find that game where your commander is actually doing something interesting. But most of the games, that's not the case. And it's particularly egregious when it is not the case against creature decks, such as Rofellos. So that's... When you're up against what you want to see, and you're still not that great, oh boy. Oh boy. But I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to weave out positive things to say about it. I just can't find any. That's just the nature of this. It's like trying to play Pauper in Legacy. You're just going to get hosed. You might have Brainstorm in your deck, Delver and Ponder and stuff, but your opponent's got Force of Will. So, yeah. But it is what it is, The new commanders so far have not been that crazy power level wise, and that could explain why I haven't seen a lot of people playing them, and that's fine. It's cool to have a set where every commander in it isn't cracked in half. I like the cards thematically, narratively. It's an actual Magic the Gathering set with Magic the Gathering world building and stuff, so this is cool, The card is cool. It just doesn't really work too well in a 1v1 commander setting like this, I feel. So far, really only the red-white life gain commander I've liked, and all the ones I've played other than that I haven't really liked that much, but I think the next one I might try is the Sultai Fairy Elf one. Yeah, I think I'll try that. And I think I'm also going to actually put in, Emergent Ultimatum to have some kind of win that isn't just heisting the top of my opponent's library. Just so I can still have chances to win outside of randomly having critical mass of creatures and stealing something that might matter from the top of my opponent's deck. I'd rather just have a definitive win condition. And it's Sultai, so it's got a bunch of those. But that's that. So let me know what you thought about it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.